people don't understand the basic importance of this item. Number one, the 1099-C. There is, in this country, only one entity that could really be the creditor. The banks are not the creditors. The government is not the creditors. Okay? It's we, the people, are the creditors in this country. We have a trust account, and we have assets in that trust account. We are part of the Central Bank of America because we are the Central Bank of America. That is where all the assets are being held. It's in our, not in our Social Security account trust. That's just an accessing trust. But it's in our 5 commissaries that are held at the federal level or at the state level. The shares of stock that a man was given in the land of the country are held at the DTC. All the interest is held in, I think it's the Bank of New York, or it's somewhere in that area, and basically that is the access. So we have a bank and trust. We have an estate, which is land. We have the rest of our collateral, which is in basically asset value like gold or silver certificates. Those are held at the Bank of New York in trust there. So we have a bank and trust. The access to our bank and trust is right now through our Social Security trust account. It's an accessing trust. It's a dry trust. We can basically turn around, and when we understand what we're doing, we can do away with the Social Security accessing trust and put our own living trust over that area. So that's what you would be getting the EIN numbers for by using, by calling up and getting a non-withholding foreign grantor's trust against that account. So, and what we're going to do is go through the form right now. I want you to read the instructions over thoroughly until basically you get a good understanding of what those instructions are really saying. Don't take it verbatim what they have there. You have to sort of read between the lines, what they are not telling you. Look at the form. You'll see that basically they're not telling you everything in the instructions. But yet you can see when you are the creditor, and you're the only one that can be the creditor. The government is not a creditor. The banks are not creditors. They can't loan your money out. They can't loan their own money out. They're restricted. So what do? They borrow from you on a loan contract, on a mortgage. You sign on the right-hand side. You are the creditor for at least 3 years. Because at the end of 3 years, that loan is fully paid for because it's under a wagering, betting, monetary system structure. So, the banks then, at the end of that period, if the loan is still going on, they turn around and make you the debtor on a fraudulent side of the contract, even though the thing has been fully paid for and settled. You have to come forward and cancel that out. and claim back all the principal and interest that you paid out of your back pocket. So, we're going to look at the 1099-C, the creditor's name. You put down your all-capital name, Social Security account, name, person. That is the vessel name, and that is your accessing name. You put down his address. Don't put CO in front of this address. They have you down as listed as that is the domain of that vessel or that Social Security account. You come down, you put down the Social Security number in the creditor's federal identification number. Then you go down to the debtor's block. The debtor can either be the bank that you have a checking account at or a credit card account with, or the corporation like the state of or the United States that is claiming that you owe a debt to them. You put down their name and address. You go down, and the account number down below will either be your checking account, your credit card account number, or basically the number that appears upon the billing coming from the corporation, governmental corporation, claiming that you owe them something. Whether it is a penalty, a $5,000 penalty, whether it is back taxes that you owe, whatever. You put down the number that is on that document. You try and get their EIN number, because all corporations have to have an EIN number. The bank has an EIN number, you put that in there in the debtor's identification block. You try and get the one for the state corporation or the United States corporation. You put that number in there. Then you go up the date that it was canceled. You put down the date, the amount of debt canceled. Okay? If there's any interest that is charged showing on that item, you put that down. And I'll get to that importance of that later on. Debt description. The reason this debt is there is they owe you a debt usage fee to you first. They are the principal debtor. The bank is the principal debtor. The corporate United States or the corporate state is the principal debtor. They have been borrowing from you by placing liens against your automobile, against your car, against your house. You basically have given a title, you have a certificate of title to those pieces of property. The state basically is holding or basically allowed them to go and write bonds off against that property. Now the bank, if you have a loan with them, that goes through the bank. They turn around and place a secret lien against your 5 commissary. Your bank, which is part of the Central Bank of America, and they turn around and write bonds off against that. That's what the wagering betting system does. At the end of 3 years, that is fully paid for, that loan or whatever. But the automobile, basically, they keep doing that because as long as you keep letting them have you operate with a certificate of title, they can keep using and writing bonds against that automobile, against that pickup, against that house. Because you haven't claimed that that is your property. So, who owes the license fees? Who owes the taxes on that? It is the principal debtor that basically is the tenant over that property now. You're using it, but basically they're a tenant over your property held in the 5 commissaries. That is the tax that is owed. The license fees that are owed. The court fees that are owed come from the principal debtor, not from you. The principal debtor has to pay you first before you can pay what they claim you owe. So, there's 2 ways to go about it. The first one is that you do the 1099-C, and you go in and is the borrower personally liable for repayment of the debt? You could mark it no. Fair value of the property is what the vehicle was valued at. For a government agency like the state of or the United States, I would put a check in the bankruptcy block number 6 because the governments are operating under the protection of bankruptcy. Now, when you send this back, and basically you tell them to settle the account. If they do not settle the account and they want to argue with you, because is what you're doing when you do send this back. You are operating under the right of discussion. And the right of discussion, you have to read that definition. I've posted it several times on the group site. Read and understand it. I'm not going to go over it here. But basically the principal debtor has to pay you before you are to be forced to pay your debt. This goes all the way back 2,000 years to the story or the parable about the bad servant. The bad servant has to pay up and cancel the debt of the lower servant, which they're claiming that you are. So if the principal debtor doesn't pay his debt or cancel the debt that you owe, then they are a bad servant. So after you mark block 5, know that they do not have to pay that back and settle the account. If they continue on, then you turn around and you do another 1099-C. You will mark this one corrected. You're going to take block 5 and change it from no to yes, saying they have to pay you back. Now, you are forgiving their debt. Now you're saying, no. Since they didn't forgive the other debt, they're going to have to pay the debt now. So you mark yes. You submit that in, and then you turn around and do a 1099-A, claiming the property that they are withholding from you. See? The parable of the bad servant is right here in the form of the 1099-C. It was so damn simple. It just stands out like a sore thumb now. The principal debtor is basically the one that's responsible. The bank is the one that's responsible. The bank is not alone in their operations of the loans. The bank turns around with that loan or the mortgage. They are operating under a charter. So they're either operating under a state banking charter or a federal banking charter. And then they're all tied into the Federal Reserve. So you've got 3 players in the game. The bank, the chartering organization, and the Federal Reserve. When you get a loan, you get $1 Federal Reserve dollar. Okay? It's a wagering piece of money. They, on the other hand, have 9 wagering pieces of money in their hand. 9 Federal Reserve dollars for every dollar that basically you sign on that loan. They turn around and put so much of that into play to cause inflation. They're driving up the price. At the same time, they're turning around and taking bonds, secret liens, and placing those against your commissary bank and gaining interest off of that. Example, they see you bought a house for $100,000. They write 10 bonds off against that, the secret lien that they place against your 5 commissaries. So that's $1 million in bonds. At 5% per year, that's roughly $50,000. For a 3-year period, that is $150,000. They settle the original loan of $100,000, so that leaves $50,000. They owe us a fee against our account for the usage of the bonds at 0.375%, which is very minimal. So roughly that'll drop maybe down $5,000-$6,000 off of that $50,000 that's left over. You divide the rest of that that is left over by 3. They're roughly gaining around $13,000 per year. Fee, usage fee, for not doing a damn thing. So, they're getting well paid for this. But, that has changed over the years, and now they can write up to 30 bonds, or up to 35. I have a letter from one of the insurance commissioners to the governor of the state of Iowa, saying that they can write up to 35 bonds against unregistered accounts. Okay? So that's what they're doing. They've been flooding the market. They've been basically, and then they turn around and they send you a license fee, an insurance. They're the ones that owe the insurance. They're the ones that owe the license. They're the ones that owe the other fees that they tack on, the taxes, the court charges for driving through a stoplight. That's all statutory. And basically they're the ones that are under the statutory laws. They have to pay those fees. So you have to be able to turn around and put the onus upon them to pay up. Now, when you start understanding this, then you can turn around and go back in a court case or whatever. You have to do a cross-filing against them. You have to become the plaintiff in a court case. They try and take you in as the debtor, the defendant. But you're the creditor. You have to make them the debtor. And that's what you do with a cross-filing in a court case. It's just going to a settling banker. That judge is nothing more than a settling banker under statutory banking jurisdiction, acting like a judge. He's just an actor. You're the only thing that's real going into that court case. Because the initial plaintiff, lawyers and everything, they're over there operating under their esquires and different things like that, saying that basically we can't be touched because we're an artificial person. people, I want you to start thinking about this stuff. I've tried to be open with everything that I've been learning along this lines. A lot of people have fallen away. There was roughly about 2,500 or so on the initial 1099 OID group that I had. It got back up to about 2,500 again when I changed it over to the 1099A by Patrick group. Right now it's only sitting at about, I forget where it is, 400 and some, or whatever, right now on We the People shareholders group site. I've been talking about that we were shareholders all along for the last 3 years. I started talking about the 1099. Hey, after initial meeting with a guy by the name of Tony Fisher King or Tony King Fisher or whatever his name was, roughly 3 years ago, I've met and talked to quite a few of the different people out there. Charlie Miller, Sam Kennedy, well, I never did talk to Sam, Tim Turner, Winston, I never talked to him, Victoria, Roger Elvick, Jack Smith. I've talked to quite a few of these different people, and basically none of them had this insight. Now, whether they're working for the other side, I do not know. I have a gut feeling that something stinks to high heaven with most of them, because if they're out there charging for a seminar, and they're getting away with charging for that seminar, then they're operating under the protection of the dark side. They're getting paid off by them. I told several of them, well over a year and a half ago, that if you can't tell the people how to pay for a damn stinking seminar, then your seminar ain't worth shit. And as far as I know, not one person that has gone to any one of those seminars has ever been able to pay for that seminar. The audio that I put out the other day, I can tell you right now how to go and get your money out. And I didn't charge you a damn dime for it. By using the 1099A and then turning around and using either the 1040 or the 1041 as your claim check at the cashier's cage to go and get your money returned to you. It's that damn simple. Stop believing all these other guys that are putting and gals that are putting this bullshit out there. That you need to have a UCC. That you need to have a notary signature on all your stuff. That you need to send out registered mail. Or you need to put stamps on the damn letters or whatever. They won't see it if you don't do this or if you don't do that. If you don't sign it in red, if you don't sign it in blue, if you don't sign it in purple, if you don't sign it in gold. Come on, people, wake up. It's ridiculous. And when something's ridiculous, I mean, it is ridiculous. Stupid. So who's being played for the sucker? We are. I have tried just about everything that these so-called charging gurus have put out. The accepted for value. You can't do an accepted for value. Look up what the word accepted means. The person that puts that on there is the one that is accepting the responsibility. That's you. You're saying, yeah, I'll pay that. That's not what you were wanting done, was it? But that's what was being done. because you didn't read the definitions. The protection that we have is right in the law dictionaries. You have to look up the words. Some of them are in Latin. You have to go in there and find out what's going on. It initially started out as a Cestacade Trust. They turned around in the judicial branch and changed it over to Fide Commissary. Fide stands for trust. It's one of the words that can be used in the transition of Fide. So you have a trust commissary. So hopefully what I tried to explain to you on the 1099-C will make some sense to you. Look it over. It'll work. Have a good day. This is November 30th. So keep plugging away. Love y'all.
At glgse7en@gmail.com. Free yourself today. We're excited to provide you with access to the most up-to-date technology and research that have successfully helped numerous individuals in the past. We're confident that they can do the same for you. Please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions or concerns. We highly recommend reviewing our information packet, which contains cutting-edge and proven knowledge. We believe that access to this information is important for everyone, and we encourage you to share it with your friends and family.